Everyone dreams of living an uncommon life, and the best asset you have to achieve your dreams is you. Welcome to the Uncommon Wealth Podcast. We're going to introduce you to people who are living uncommonly. We're also going to give you some tools and strategies for building wealth and for pursuing an uncommon path that is uniquely right for you.
Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of the Uncommon Wealth Podcast, where I'm your host, Phillip Ramsey, and we get to tune in to another episode where we talk to amazing business owners. We have Abbi Rickelman today with Designed to Move. I can't wait to unpack her uncommon, but let me give you her bio. And if you're a newer listener, you guys realize that I love to throw a random bio out there because I don't like to read out loud. That's really the reason, but here's the bio for you. I have 3 words for you. Ready, Abbi? She's in studio too, which is my favorite. You're purposeful, and I'd say intentional. I think those are 2 in 1. I'm not going to count those as 2. Purposeful and intentional. Like whatever you do it with purpose and intention. Okay? That's my first 1.5 words. Second word is coachable. I feel like you're super coachable, not only in your life, but like just who you are. So that's my second word. The third word is faithful. You have a faith, you know where you're going to go for eternity. I love that part, and it always falls back on that. Those are my 3 words. Abbi Rickelman, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks a lot, and I appreciate that.
Not bad, huh?
I will, I appreciate those words. I'll take those words for
Anyone
sure.
I would missed on?
I mean, 3 is enough. Otherwise, that's just a lot.
That's right.
That's enough.
That's right.
That's enough.
Okay.
Yeah,
and I'm trying to use different words for people because I had another word for you, and I was like, I've already used that one, so I got to use something
what was
different.
it?
Well, I think it was like just like you're not purposeful, but driven. Driven.
Yeah.
You're driven. But I've already used that one. So I was like, okay, I got to use a different word for driven, purposeful, and intentional. Kind of the same.
Listen, okay, we're going to get off topic here a little bit. I was just reading a book, and they said, like, people say we want to be purpose-driven life. Yeah. And what they were saying is that a lot of driven people are so driven, then they lose purpose. And I'm like, man,
Preach it.
Is that like my life? Like sometimes I feel like I've been so driven that I'm like, what am I doing?
Yes.
Where am I going?
Right.
So that was that. There you go. So.
All right, so we're talking about Designed to Move.
Yeah.
You also own this company with a sexy beast named Aaron Rickelman.
I mean, I will agree.
Yeah,
that.
I mean, if you guys heard his voice, if you just would have heard his voice, you'd be like, yeah, totally agree.
We'll save the Aaron for another episode when you can just have just Aaron's voice. That's
don't tempt me because it would be amazing. First off, how long have you been owning Designed to Move?
Okay, it's funny. I was just thinking about that today. Okay, so 2015 is when we opened.
Okay.
So, yeah. Yep,
so about 9 years.
Yeah, coming up on 9 years.
That's
here,
crazy.
So, yeah. It's been a wild 9 years. It's been good.
Gosh, is it like your best asset, and also like sometimes it's like what did we just create?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, my dad was a business owner growing up, and so I was like, I want to do this business owner thing, and I think let's not mistaken in this. Like, business ownership is beautiful, but I think when you get into business ownership, you think that it's going to be like rainbows and butterflies, and you just have like all this time off, and like you get to do whatever you want to do whenever you want to do it. And no, that's not how it goes.
Kind of true, but also kind of not.
I mean, like if I could take a million days off, that'd be great. I could, but I would not be able to pay my bills. Yeah, it doesn't work that way. And so, I mean, in fact, like I pay my employees are paid before I get paid. So because you have people that you're responsible for. So it's just it's different than what you I think go into like, this is going to be amazing. And it is. Like, there's so much beauty in owning your business. Yeah. But I think there's things that like you probably don't realize or think about before you jump into it.
It's like parenting. It is like parenting. Mm-hmm. Like, you think it's going to be all great. And like, I've seen the parents at Target. They look great, all put together. What they haven't seen is that poor parent was up at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Cleaning up a blowout.
Truth. I mean, literally, not 2 nights ago, Aaron was doing paperwork until 11:30 at night. He was not happy. I mean, it's just there's just there's lots of fires to be put out, and nobody wants to be working till that hour. So
no,
we're hoping. That's honestly the season we're in, was trying to figure out how we continue to serve the patients that we serve and love them well. And our business model is really to be very attentive to them and give them more time and like authenticity to them and things like that. But how do we continue to do that, but also not like make ourselves crazy at the same time?
So, that's right.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna get into all of that because I love your business model. It's uncommon. Imagine that. I also love that you are running a business with your husband.
Yes.
That's not easy.
Yep.
It's just a whole nother dynamic. But my first question for you, Abbi, you ready for this?
I'm ready.
What are you made of? What?
That's the question?
That's the question. What are you made of?
What are you made of?
Yeah. What would you say like you're made of? Like basically what's your 3 words for yourself?
Oh man. I think driven is probably one of them. I just have a go. Like like if there's a job that I have to do and got to get it done, like it's go time. And I enjoy like tackling things and new challenges and things like that, probably to a fault.
Yeah.
What am I made of? Oh my goodness. I also love serving people. Yeah. And so when I get that opportunity, like I'm like, let's just do that. And like the problem is like sometimes you can serve. And so it's funny because I feel like sometimes your strengths become your weaknesses in that too.
Oh, you're your best asset and your worst asset.
Yeah. So I think that that is probably the biggest things. Like I really do like to go and like get after things and accomplish, and then also serve people. So I'm a 3 on the Enneagram.
Oh,
if that means anything to anybody.
Yeah.
So I saw a really funny meme or something like that one time about a 3 on the Enneagram, and there's a lot of people who have a snooze button on their phone or that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So like the alarm hits and this like person was like flung out of bed and like jumped in the shower essentially, and that's my life. So
yes,
my husband snoozes it like 15 times. I think he like has 15 alarms. Mine's 1 and out.
And you're
Let's
in.
go.
Yep, you're dialed in. Yeah. Okay, so I think it's interesting that you saw your dad run its own business, and that was attractive enough for you to then step into this like business ownership or uncommon path.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. So when you were growing up, that was obviously attractive enough to you that you said like, I want to do that.
Right.
I think there was a couple of like times when that's the opposite. Like they see their parents running business like over my dead body. Will I do that? You know, like, but you have not felt that way. What do you think your dad did that was the most appealing to you when you were a child that was like, I think that could be me?
So it's funny because we are kind of different personalities. And so I tackle things like 100%, 1,000,000%, let's go. Where my dad, and I'm like, well, we already got patient schedule. I couldn't cancel that to go do said thing or whatever because I don't want to,
Right.
Where my dad is like type B personality where he's so laid back sometimes he might fall over in the chair. And so, which is great. I saw him in the fact that he would just, be at all my golf tournaments when he wanted to be. He would,
the flexibility.
Yeah, he just had a major flexibility, and his office atmosphere was always seemed like a lot of fun. And
what did he do?
So he was an optometrist.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I think being around that was enticing. And I feel like there's like a generational thing where it's like whatever your parents achieve, you must achieve the same or greater. I don't know
what is something about that.
What is up with that?
Yeah,
I don't know
either.
But I feel like that's where I was.
You can't do like 20% more. You can't do like 50% more. You have to like just do incremental more.
Yeah, and honestly, my sister wouldn't, I think, be mad about me saying this, but like I think at first. Like when I was going into a chiropractic school and I had the intentions of like going to hopefully open a business, she like called me in tears one day and was like, here you're going to be like a doctor and all the things. And I'm like, but I think it's that generational thing where she thought like that's where my dad was. So like that's the next step. And she's amazingly successful at what she does. Right. There's no need for, she's amazing, and like she has a very successful career in what she does. And like, it's just funny how you kind of get in those little, like, so I don't regret it for a second, but it is kind of the weird generational thing. I think sometimes certain personalities kind of like glean on. So.
Yeah. So what made you want to go into chiropractic? So newsflash, Designed to Move is a chiropractic, like I would say physical therapist.
Yeah.
Type of practice. How about you give us a 30-second interview
of what Designed to Move is?
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. So Designed to Move, we're a chiropractic sports rehab clinic. What that means is we use chiropractic, like what many people would say, manipulation adjustments. That's just one of the many tools that we use. We have soft tissue release, whether that be manual or we have like certain tools that we use. We do dry needling. We do like rehab type exercises that you would see commonly at like a PT clinic. We just added a shockwave therapy as well. That's a technique that helps tissue heal. It's been extremely successful for a lot of patients. And so we we have a gamut of different therapies that we provide, and we have longer appointment times. So our appointments are about 20 minutes, whereas I know a lot of people are used to going to a chiropractic appointment is, just a few minutes. And so we just try to take a little bit longer with a patient and see what it is, whether it's something in our office and or it's like certain specialists I need to see or whatever. We try to hit everything we can in the musculoskeletal realm, head to toe, basically.
That's good. Okay. Yeah. Good. So did you always want to do this? Or like what made you kind of like step into that? I love
the medical world.
Okay.
And so I was I took the optometry entrance exam.
Oh.
And I was going to get out of undergrad a year early and go. But I hadn't taken organic chemistry yet. This is a funny story. It tells you how sciencey I am. So I taught myself organic chemistry because I hadn't taken it yet. However, I am not good at language arts topics or things. And so I went through the test and I failed it because I passed organic chemistry, but I failed literary reading. So there's that.
Wow.
I mean, the good Lord knew what he was doing.
It's fine. Interesting. Isn't it crazy?
I freaked out because there were more questions and so I started skimming stuff and had no clue what I was doing. And it was a really good thing because I don't think that was where I was supposed to be. I had thought that maybe I would go take my dad's practice over things like that. I went and shadowed a lot of optometrists and it just wasn't my jam. So even though I think the eye is super fascinating, like that's what kind of intrigued me to it when I learned about it in school. But I was like, I don't think day to day this is my jam.
Yeah.
I more liked the holistic physical. Like I'm active all day long working with patients. So
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So then when you stepped into, what school did you go to Cairo?
Logan University.
Logan.
So yeah, it's in St. Louis.
Okay.
Yep.
When you stepped into Logan, is that where you met Aaron?
That is where I met Aaron. That is where I met Aaron 2 weeks in.
Yeah, you did.
That's where it was at.
I get it. Okay. We'll get to that in a second. But was it like you hit the ground running? Like you loved it, you loved to learn about it, you loved all this stuff? Or like what was the hardest class that you took?
Oh man, I don't know the hardest class. I love academics. I'm a nerd. Okay. Like I really love and I'm not even really proud to say this, but I was a valedictorian in my class.
Yeah, you were.
Mostly because I'm really good at tests. Like I'm like, you give me information to learn, I can learn it. Now I might not retain it always, but
you can
nail a test if you give me the information.
Wow.
So anyways.
Such a superpower, by the way.
It is,
but I feel
it's
like
also
I'm the exact opposite.
But I can like brain dump real fast. So it's after,
You walk back.
There was another kid in my class that really should have been the valedictorian. Like he was probably studious. 20 times smarter than me. Like he really is. And I think he actually teaches and stuff now. Anyways. But I don't know. So I don't know what the hardest class was. I overachieved, to be honest. Like why was I overstudying? I could have gone to bed at 10 o'clock and not midnight, dumb things. But again, that's the 3 in me. That's the 3 in me. I can't stop until it's accomplished. So here we are.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. So let's go back to college. When did you and Aaron start solidifying things like DTR?
2 weeks in, we went on our first date, and I think right around then, yeah.
Wow. So it was basically like
pretty much right away.
So interesting that you went to the same school because you probably have very similar philosophies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And we went to most of our philosophy and how our practice was built was actually on a lot of different extracurricular things that we would do. We went to a lot of conferences and things like that kind of built our model, if you will. Not that school didn't help us. Obviously, school is good, but to get the model that we were trying to accomplish, we had to do some different things to get there. So yeah.
Okay, how many employees do you have now?
Oh boy, I should know this off the top of my head. 3 or now 2, 3, 4.
4. Okay,
yeah.
plus Aaron.
Yeah. And then we've got a couple that rent from us in our building too.
Okay, because I'd say it's a very successful practice.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
What do you think has been the biggest component of the success?
I think probably we just take a little extra time with people.
Yep.
And we really try to hear people. I think that in the medical world in general, patients come into an office and they're not really heard. Mm-hmm. And so we really try to hear people and whether that's them getting whatever care it is they need in our office or us being super honest with them and saying, hey, this is the person you need to go see. Mm-hmm. So I think that a lot of our growth has been organic. So we just getting to know people in the community, getting referrals and things like that. So it feels like a family. It doesn't feel like, hey, I got all these random ads from you and I just randomly decided to come in.
Yeah.
Not that that's not a way that you can advertise. 100%. There's nothing wrong with it. it's just, I think most of our people that have come into our office have been kind of that organic marketing type way. So, yeah.
All right. Normally we don't go into this, but I do think it's interesting. So how do you start the business cash flow wise? Like you and Aaron probably step out of college and you have this big dream and you also have a huge amount of probably student loan debt.
Yep.
Like how do you step into like, all right, let's do this design to move thing. I think this is going to be great.
Well, banks don't like us when they're like that.
They think you have
student
leprosy.
loans, and they really don't like chiropractors too, is what I've heard. And so that we, I could
see that.
Yeah, I was super grateful that, so my, I played golf in college. So my parents had told me that they were going to help me with college. They had saved for us to go to college. And when I got a full ride through golf and some academics, they basically kept that money aside. And then it was like, okay, well, now we can help you with chiropractic school. And so then I was talking to them. I'm like, well, how about instead of you helping me with chiropractic school, like it's easy to get student loans, but it's a lot harder to get a small business loan. How about we take that money and we put it into the practice if we start a practice?
Brilliant.
And so that's what we did. It was basically my education money that we started it with, and we started really education. Small.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I mean, it was great. And so we started really small. Like our office was like a little Cracker Jack box, and but it was what we needed, and it really functioned just fine for what we really needed. To some extent, it was nice back then. It was less complicated.
Yes, isn't it funny? You look back at that and you're like,
yeah. I mean, our building now is beautiful. I would not take it back for a second, just because it provides so much opportunity. But the simplicity of just like this little office was pretty nice. But it was getting real cramped there at the end. So real cramped. Yeah. So.
Because you run a successful practice. Like people just want to come in, you want to impact more people, therefore it takes a bigger place.
Well, and that's the hard thing too, is like when people want to come in, I don't want to have to tell them no.
Yeah, right.
But to some extent, your schedule gets full, you have to say no.
Yes.
And so we had to make a space that then made it available that we could bring in other physicians to then, be able to say yes to people. So, yeah.
That's right.
Yep.
Okay, so this is what I would say for those people who are like, I'm just tuning in for Abbi, which I get. We're financial advisors. We love people to say that you're your best asset. What does that mean? It means like you're uniquely gifted. And so how you're uniquely gifted, we want to try to invest in that. So when you wake up in the morning, you get to pour into something that you're uniquely gifted at and you like to do it. So we don't like to be the people who are like, and you're Wells Fargo and you can stay at a desk job for the rest of your life and we're going to take all your money. We don't really do that way. But what we found is not only do we do that, people start stepping off and trying to create something like a business like Designed to Move.
Yeah.
And then once that starts being successful, what you find is like, well, actually, I love this component of my job or my career, but I don't love this component. And what we then urge you to do is then go hire somebody that actually likes to do that.
Yeah.
Which you've done. And then after that, you ready for what we kind of go next is like, well, your business usually needs a building. Like you might want to buy a building. And that's what you and Aaron did.
Yep.
And then you complemented it with a different kind of side of the business and you've rented that out.
Yep.
So it kind of cash flows it. All of that is all in a separate business. Usually you have Designed to Move and then you have another entity that owns the building. And you're basically on the uncommon path, the exact way that I think would be how we would coach. And so let's just talk about stepping into that building. There's another thing. You have to walk into the bank and they look at you like you have leprosy.
Yep.
And you're like, but I got an idea. And they're like, yeah, fun idea, little boy, but you're not doing that. So how did you get that building, like the loan for it? Like give us the background of that.
We paid ourselves as little as possible.
Yes.
And we saved and saved and saved and saved and saved. And so our first, what was that? 5 years, I guess, 6 years. That's what we did.
Good.
And we, then we just searched for a spot that we thought in Ankeny would be really great. We loved the north side of Ankeny, to be honest. And so we wanted to continue staying in that area. We originally were actually going to move across the street into these buildings that were being built. And that opportunity just really didn't work out. And so then we're like, okay, so what are we going to do now? Because we kind of had all of our cards in that basket for a little bit. And so for a while, we're like, well, we're going to have to rearrange this office to figure out how we're going to continue to serve the people we're serving. So we did that. And then we found the piece of land that's literally across the street from where we were going to move into, and we built there. And so found a bank that believed in our vision. And they stepped right into it. The biggest blessing is that it was right before COVID. Whew. I mean, literally right before COVID. I don't know. I mean, cost of construction would have killed us.
Yeah.
And also the interest rates, everything would have killed us.
Wow.
But our sticks and bricks went up in February of 2020. So literally the structure was up.
The month before. Right.
Yeah. And our builder was like, if you did not do that when that happened, it would have been at least $400,000 more just for your sticks and bricks. And I was
goodness.
My goodness. Well, we would have just had an empty building sitting there because I don't know how we would have finished it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
It's an insane amount of money more. And so again, the good Lord was looking after us, and we got that finished up because it would have been a little bit difficult. So now we're into this building, and we've got Iowa Clinic that's right next door to us, which is a great, it's honestly awesome because we've had times where we have someone that had extremely high blood pressure. We were a little nervous about having a heart attack, things like that. We sent them right over. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, they've been a great tenant to have and very complimentary. And so, yeah, it's the two of us in that building. So,
wow.
Yep.
That's fascinating. Okay, because at the end of the day, you've kind of mentioned this. Like, you're exchanging your time for money, and at some point, you only have so much time to give. Now, you and your husband have double because it's you both, but then you also have a family. You do have 2 kids.
Yes, we do.
Didn't mention those little rascals.
That's right.
But so, how do you then scale this thing up? Like, what's the next level? Where are you going?
Well, that's a good question because that's what we're trying to figure out right now. I feel like it seems easy on paper, and then it's like you go to life and it's like, wow, this is a lot. And so the hard part is we are currently at a position where it's like we are at the end of our rope in the time that we can give. And so we are so much toiling in working in our business, seeing patients, things like that. It's very hard for us to work on our business.
Right.
So you can't grow unless you're working on your business. I can't is a strong word. It's very difficult to grow if you can't work on your business. Right. And so right now we're trying to figure out how to give us that opportunity to do that. I just started taking a day off a week where I can both manage some of the business pieces and manage our family, just because I work so that I can tend to my family. Yeah. Also, I love serving my patients, but tend to my family. And on the weekends, I just felt like kids were just running around me and trying to get ready for the next week. And so that day has helped with that. The hope is that Aaron will also be able to kind of get there as well. The problem is if you take a physician out of working, then you have less
revenue goes
coming
down.
Yeah. So again, now we're kind of toiling with okay, when is the right time that you do bring another physician on, so that we can give ourselves some space with that. So I don't know, we're in the mix of trying to manage what it looks like to upscale. However, also there are things when you are very small that you neglect, like having good processes written down. Those are some things that I really want to make sure we solidify before we expand, because the more you expand, the more the problems start to elevate because you don't have a good process for that. Point in case, we have processes for storms, but kind of. And I literally rolled the tornado out that just recently happened in my office. Because I didn't, I was dumb. And I really should have had, okay, we need to have a process here. Tornado sirens go off. We need to make sure we're safe. And, that's a dumb process. Clearly, that should just be common
it's important.
sense. But, it's important, right? Yeah. So, but there's a lot of processes that are obviously more intricate to, how the business grows and succeeds that we need to get after. So, anyway.
Let's talk about that scaling part. Because, I feel like you and I feel like us at Uncommon Wealth, we could scale it faster.
Yeah.
But that would mean that we would roll all of our current clients. We would just mow them over.
Yeah.
We wouldn't care about them. And that's not our, that's the reason why we got in the business, is because we care very deeply about our clients. And so to be able to scale it up, I do think there is a little component of that of I don't want to scale it where I have to get rid of anybody that I have a really good relationship with or that I'm caring for. And so I think that part is, although harder, it's caring too. It's like a Midwest nice kind of thing.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, what am I scaling it for? Right?
That's right.
I don't need a scale of something so crazy. Like I'm not sitting here trying to make a bajillion dollars. No, that's not what I'm after. I want to have a comfortable life that I get to love my kids, love my family,
and enjoy what you do every day.
Enjoy what I do every day. And so the problem is we've gotten to the point I really enjoy what I do every day, but at the end of the day, I'm smoked because we end up having to come home and continue to do work.
Yeah. And it's different work.
That's what we got to figure out. And so, it's a matter of trying to figure out how to scale well. And at this point, I think we need a scale to then give us some breathing room. Is really the key.
Yeah, and usually when that happens, you have more breathing room to think about how you can make your business run more efficiently, and then that gets you to the next level.
Yep.
But it's always this this point where you're like, I'm feeling a little pinch.
Well, and that's what Aaron's always like, but if we take me part of that, then with the revenue, I'm like, but then you can work on how to get, it's just,
it's fascinating. It's
complicated. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's cool. And I like the fact that this is weird. Ready for this? This is an uncommon view. I like the fact that you guys are tapped out with time, because to me, sometimes the hardest puzzles to solve are the ones that are the most complex, but that you have so many places to start. Like to me, the time is not an option, which for you is kind of a blessing, because you would be like, well, just throw more time on it.
Yep.
That's just your personality. It's a three mentality. I'll just do it. So the fact that you don't, that you have to think differently anyway.
Yep.
And again, you're coachable. So I think you're going to be able to get to the next level.
Yeah.
Okay. What are the biggest places in your business where you've hit adversity and you've had to overcome? I feel like, you want to talk about yesterday or today? Which one do you want?
Which day you want?
Yeah.
I honestly think the biggest piece of adversity I can think of is when we thought we were moving into this other building that we didn't end up moving into. Because it's like we had, the vision of what was going to be happening there. Things were clicking in that right direction. And then we're talking to our banker, and he's like, essentially we had a clause in this building that we were going to be going in. Like if it went over a certain amount, that we were able to kind of pull out of it, thankfully. And then things started happening where we just didn't agree with what was happening with things. And our banker was just kind of like, are you sure you want to do this? Like, this is a lot of money. And is this really what you want? Wow. And Aaron looked at me and I looked at him and we're like, no.
Wow.
I don't think so.
Wow.
And so, but it was the first time I think Aaron probably admitted that for easier than I did. I was too stubborn, but we eventually both got there. And, so then it was like, okay, so what do we do now? We can't be I want it. This is fine where we're at, but we got to do something different. And so, that was the biggest adversity, plus the biggest moment where we saw God just step up and be like, I know you thought that was the coolest and greatest thing, but look what I'm going to do now.
Yeah. Right.
And so
trust in me.
Oh yeah. And so, but it's funny because I didn't trust. Cause I think in the back of my head, I was like, no, you're not supposed to do that. You shouldn't do this. I think this isn't going well. I don't, whatever. And then finally, just the hammer had to hit that it really pushed us in the direction of stopping. So that, I think that would be one of them.
And then the provision of the 1 month after would have been $400,000 more. That's kind of a God thing.
Yes, that was huge. So, another one was when we had an audit, and it was terrible. Any business is going to have an audit, right? And it was an audit from an insurance company, and we got a fine. It was just what we didn't know what we didn't know,
right?
And so it was just a documentation error thing, really, what it was. But there was nothing we could hide behind, and it was right. Aaron was really hurt by it because he's like, I literally work so hard to do this right. Yeah. And I feel like I serve my patients well, and I feel like I'm doing everything right. And then you come and tell me no, I'm not doing this right. And yes, by the way, pay me $1 jillion for it.
Yeah.
Jeepers, we were fine. We figured it out. But it was just wow, at the blink of an eye, something can go awry when you don't even know you're doing something wrong.
Right.
And so that was a big, I think, gut punch to us a little bit. Wasn't anything we couldn't handle financially, but more of
it's a mental.
Yeah, it was a mental thing. It was man, I really try to serve and do everything I can to do right and do well. And man, it's funny how much insurance has changed. My dad, when he documented it, he showed me his first note. It was a note card. It had the person's prescription and what they paid. That was it.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Now, I have to basically take the whole person's everything, all the things. Oh my goodness, it's crazy. So, I think those are probably our two biggest pieces of adversity, if you will.
Okay. So if you would flash back all the way back to before you went to chiropractic school, would you do it all over again?
Whew. I think I would because I love my patients and I love doing, but I would do it differently, I think.
What would you do different? This is fascinating. I don't think I usually ever ask this question. So
I love what we have. I love, but the problem is you do it when you start. You're like, okay, I need a patient to come in. I document their stuff. I take their money, and then I put that in my bank account, and then there's a bill, and I pay it, and we're done. Okay, cool. This is how this works. Like that's what you think business ownership is.
Right.
And I think that if I had known, like if I'm fast forward to now, and like how do we put some things in our life to make sure we have boundaries so that we are not stretched too thin and don't over involve ourselves with some things, and set up processes from the beginning, even if it's a dumb process because it's just two of us, it would be helpful. And I think that it would probably create some of these headaches that we have would probably be less. So, yeah.
It's good. What do you think Aaron would say?
He'd be like, no. He's stressed out right now.
He would never do it?
I think he's just stressed out.
It would be interesting to hear what he said. I bet you he would say yes. I think after he processes through.
I think he would eventually say yes, but I'm telling you, I'm telling you, he was at his wit's end. He was just so stressed out like 2 nights ago. And so he's like, let's just sell it all and go to the Caribbean.
Burn it to the ground.
Let's go. And I'm like, he doesn't mean, because truly, we both love our patients. We love what we do. We love our employees are amazing.
It's revealing.
So it's what Design to Move is beautiful, and there's nothing I would take back about it except for setting up some things for the success rate better. And I think that if Aaron obviously thought about that, he would think the same thing, but don't ask him when he's doing paperwork at 11 o'clock at night. Don't
ask him in a weak moment. That's good. It is neat that you both are there and you both run the company. The interesting thing about it is like you've tried to take as little out of the business as you can to therefore grow. And I feel like that's where you're at now.
Yep.
And you're kind of at this point of like, okay, but how do we take it to the next level?
Right. And that's the thing. We still take as little. We take what we need to feed our family, and that's all we take from the business. Right. But there's things that we've gotten, we've taken some distributions here and there, but like mostly that's what our income is. And it would be nice to not have to just take just enough.
Yes.
And so, cause we're successful, but it's like, we've got so many other things that we're kind of trying to do and save and all the stuff that
it would be fun. We could never do this, but it'd be fun to like line business owners up and have people from like whoever, like just how much you think they make.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be fascinating? I think what they think that we make and what we actually make are two different things. Yeah. And I think that the general public would probably overemphasize what business owners make.
I know. Like sometimes I'm like, it'd be really nice. We could go make money. And then it's just like we come home and I don't have to worry about running the thing.
Yep.
And then
I
get a 401k that someone contributes to. And they pay for my benefits.
All the feels. Here's the deal though, Abby. That would work until they try to give you a review. And you'd be like, get out of here.
I know.
Get out.
I am a chief. I am not an Indian.
That's right. So good.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. So I think, one, thank you for being just so transparent. I love just talking to business owners, what they're learning, the challenges they're having to overcome, the adversity that they're finding. So at the end of the day, like, what do you think has been the most refining, or what do you think the byproduct of all this has been for you running Design to Move with your husband? Like, what do you think it's produced? Because I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's almost like parenting. Like, it's revealed something in me that I needed to be revealed. So thank you. But what do you think it has been for you?
It has revealed that I am a 3, and so I drive after success, but that's not the important thing.
So good.
It's the older I've gotten, the more I've realized, my purpose. My purpose is to glorify God and to serve God. And so, but it's funny when you're a business owner, you suddenly think you're in charge. And so, I think through turmoil, you then start to like refine and be like, okay, I know what my purpose is, and I can find joy in some of the turmoil that comes along with business ownership. So I think, just like purpose of like being able to be with my kids more and what the value that I can have in that. And so, I think it's revealed that, my biggest joy in business ownership and is being able to serve patients in a way that I think is, I guess, like really authentic with them and gives them a place to feel like they get like really all encompassing care. And so I don't know, I think it's revealed a lot of those things, different things than I thought it would, for sure. So I think the biggest that is like success isn't really where it's at. Like chasing the wind. Like I seriously have spent my life chasing the wind. And my friend tried to tell me like 8 years ago, she gave me a sign and I hung it up in my house and I thought that was cool. And then I really realized that I was chasing the wind and still probably feels like chasing the wind a lot of times, but it's, but I think the older I get, the more I'm in it, the more I realize like what I'm really after.
Yeah. So, using it as a tool to then glorify
God
and serve people
and like be able to hopefully have some time where I get to teach my kids the same thing. So,
that's right. Okay. So how do our listeners hear more about you and Designed to Move? How do they reach out?
You can go to our website, designedtomovechiro.com. That will just give you good information about what our office is about and just gives you an all-encompassing kind of view of what we offer. We do have social media, and I'm going to be truly frank with you. That is one area we're trying to grow in because it takes time.
You were doing good for a while.
Well, we are a C in seasons, but now we have someone that helps me with that.
Okay.
So Bree is now in our office, and she is helping me be better about social media. Social media is great because it does educate people on what we actually do. And so you can get onto our social medias. We have Facebook, Instagram. Those are good ways to hear about us. And then you can give us a call, 515-957-4042. And that's our phone number. And you can give us a call and we'll be able to tell you things about that as well. But I think our website's probably the most, the best way to get a hold of us.
Good.
So,
okay. Well, you've been listening to Uncommon Wealth Podcast. I've been your host, Phillip Ramsey. And if there's anything that you took from this, like going down this uncommon path is rewarding and also sanctifying. Like there's really a lot that goes on, but at the end of the day, like you're producing something that is far deeper than you ever thought it was. And that's why I like try to encourage so many people to just like get off the sideline, get on the field and let's play something. Cause like you have a gift. So until next time, go be uncommon and thanks for listening.
That's all for this episode, brought to you by Uncommon Wealth Partners. Be sure to visit uncommonwealth.com to learn more about our services. Don't miss an episode as we introduce you to inspiring people who are actively pursuing an uncommon life.